Ted Bundy, a notorious individual, was involved in a series of heinous crimes during the 1970s. He was a serial killer, rapist, and necrophiliac responsible for the death of at least 20 women, although he confessed to killing 36. Some experts speculate that the actual number of his victims might exceed 100. In February 1978, Bundy was apprehended and subsequently received 3 death sentences for murdering 2 members of the Chi Omega sorority at Florida State University and a 12-year-old girl. Despite his horrifying acts, Bundy's charismatic demeanor garnered attention and he gained a certain level of notoriety during his trial. His case has served as inspiration for numerous novels and films centered around serial killers. Ultimately, Bundy made his fate through execution in 1989. Born on November 24, 1946 in Burlington, Vermont, Theodore Robert Bundy, known as Ted Bundy, came into the world as a secret shame of his mother, Eleanor Louise Cowell. Being born out of wedlock deeply embarrassed Cowell, who was just 22 years old at the time, and she gave birth to Ted at a facility for unmarried mothers. Afterward, Cowell took her son to live with her parents in Philadelphia. The birth certificate of Ted Bundy does not provide any information about his father, leaving his biological father's identity uncertain. Various theories have emerged attempting to identify his father. One theory, proposed by Ann Rue, a co-worker of Ted's and author of The Stranger Beside Me, suggests that Lloyd Marshall, an Air Force veteran and Penn State graduate, could be his father. Other sources speculate that Jack Warnington might be his father, while there are even rumors suggesting that his father could be his own grandfather. However, due to the lack of concrete evidence, the true identity of Ted Bundy's father remains speculative. In order to conceal the fact that he was born out of wedlock, Bundy was raised by his grandparents and was informed that his mother was his sister. After a few years, Cowell relocated with Bundy to Tacoma, Washington. However, it is said that Ted Bundy held little regard for his stepfather, whom he viewed as an uneducated and belonging to a lower social class. Johnny and Louise Bundy went on to have multiple children together. Bundy's upbringing seemed to be in a stable working-class family. However, he displayed an early fascination with the macabre. As young as 3 years old, he developed a keen interest in knives. While he was academically successful and intelligent, Bundy struggled socially and had difficulty connecting with his friends. During his time as a student at the University of Washington, Bundy became infatuated with a young woman named Nian Edwards, who hailed from a wealthy background in California. Nian possessed qualities that appealed to Bundy: wealth, beauty, and social status. Their relationship eventually came to an end, which deeply affected Bundy. It is worth noting that several of his later victims shared physical similarities with his college girlfriend, as they were often attractive women, students with long dark hair. In the mid-1970s, Bundy underwent a transformation, manifesting as increased self-assurance and engagement in social and political affairs. He displayed a newfound confidence in his demeanor. Bundy's involvement in political matters extended to working as a campaign, which earned him a letter of recommendation from the Republican governor of Washington. This spirit showcased a shift in Bundy's public persona as he actively participated in activities beyond his personal life. Bundy admitted to the murder of 36 young women during the 1970s, though it is speculated by experts that the actual number of its victims may be significantly higher, potentially reaching 100 or more. The true extent of Bundy's killing spree will forever remain unknown. His crimes typically followed a horrifying path involving the rape and brutal beating of his victims before their deaths. There is ongoing debate regarding the timeline of Bundy's killing spree. According to most sources, it is believed that he began his murderous activities around 1974. During this period, numerous women in the Seattle area and nearby Oregon went missing, reports suggesting that they were last seen in the company of a young, dark-haired man named Ted. Bundy employed a common method to trick his victims: feigning injuries and seeking their assistance, often approaching them in his car. Tragically, their acts of kindness proved to be a fatal mistake. One of Bundy's notable girlfriends, Elizabeth Clover, played a crucial role in aiding the police in apprehending the suspected serial killer. Their relationship began in 1969 after they met at a bar in Seattle. Clover, a single mother with a young daughter, battled with alcoholism. During their 6-year relationship, Bundy provided care and support, and Clover described him as warm and loving. However, by 1974, Clover started to have suspicion about Bundy's activities. She confronted him about peculiar behaviors such as keeping a meat cleaver in his desk, raising concern about his accent. Bundy, using his charm and manipulation, managed to deflect her worries and reassure her. Despite Elizabeth Clover's initial attempts to inform the police about her suspicion regarding Bundy's involvement in local murders, they did not believe her claims. Consequently, Bundy and Clover remained together, although their relationship became strained after Bundy relocated to Olympia in the following year. In 1975, Clover once again approached the police, this time armed with evidence that led to the arrest of the serial killer. Bundy had confessed to Clover over a phone call from his prison cell, admitting that he had attempted to kill her and that he was unable to resist his violent urges when his dark impulses consumed him. Clover, determined to sever ties with Bundy, ended their relationship for good and went on to write a book recounting her experience. During the autumn of 1974, Bundy relocated to Utah to pursue his law studies, coinciding with the onset of women disappearing in that area. The following year, Bundy's encounters with the law took a significant turn. He was pulled over by the police, leading to a search of his vehicle. Inside, authorities discovered a collection of burglary tools, including a crowbar, a face mask, rope, and a handcuff. As a result, he was arrested for possession of these tools, and law enforcement began connecting him to more heinous crime. In 1975, Bundy faced further legal consequences when he was apprehended for the abduction of Carol Dorrance, one of a few fortunate women who managed to escape his clutches. Bundy was subsequently convicted and sentenced to a jail term of 1 to 15 years for his particular crime. In 1977, Bundy managed to escape from prison on 2 separate occasions. The first escape occurred when he was facing murder charges related to the death of a young woman in Colorado. Opting to represent himself in the case, Bundy took advantage of a visit into a courthouse library where he made his initial escape by leaping out of a window. However, his freedom was short-lived as authorities managed to recapture him just 8 days later. In a daring turn of events, Bundy escaped from custody once again in December of that year. This time, he meticulously crafted a hole in the ceiling of his cell, setting over 30 pounds to fit through the narrow opening. Remarkably, authorities did not discover Bundy's absence until 15 hours later, providing the serial killer with a significant head start before the police were alerted to his escape. Following his second prison escape, Bundy eventually found himself in Tallahassee, Florida. It was on the night of January 14, 1978, that he entered the Chi Omega sorority house at Florida State University. Inside, he viciously attacked 4 young female residents, resulting in the death of Margaret Broman and Lisa Levy. His spree of violence continued on February 9 when he kidnapped and murdered 12-year-old Kimberly Leach. These heinous crimes marked the culmination of his killing spree as his action drew the attention of law enforcement, leading to his eventual capture later that month. The evidence that provided pivotal in linking Bundy to the 2 murder of Chi Omega House were the bite remarks found on Lisa Levy's body, which were definitely matched to Bundy. The discovery of this damning evidence played a crucial role in building the case against him. Throughout Bundy's criminal ordeal, his mother, Louise, remained employed as a secretary at the University of Puget Sound and remained married to Johnny. Despite the mounting accusation against her son, Louise initially refused to believe that charge for many years. However, her perspective shifted after Bundy confessed to his crime, forcing her to confront the grim reality of his actions. Bundy's striking appearance, charisma, and intelligence garnered him a significant amount of attention and notoriety during his trial. Despite facing overwhelming evidence against him, he fought vehemently for his life. However, in July 1979, he was found guilty of the murders of Margaret Bowman and Lisa Levy, resulting in 2 death sentences. Over the course of 9 years, Bundy resided on death row while appealing his conviction. In 1980, Bundy received yet another death sentence for the killing of Kimberly Leach. It was this additional sentence that ultimately sealed his fate, leading to his execution by electric chair in 1989. Throughout his legal battles, Bundy pursued various appeals, even attempting to bring his case before the US Supreme Court. However, his appeals were denied and his execution became inevitable. In a final attempt to postpone his punishment, Bundy offered information regarding unsolved murders, hoping to negotiate a reprieve from the death penalty. Nonetheless, his efforts proved futile and justice was eventually served. During the penalty phase of his trial in February 1980, Bundy married Carol Ann Bone, whom he had previously dated before his initial arrest. The marriage took place inside a courtroom and was witnessed by the judge, thus making it legally valid in Florida. Boney and Bundy had originally met 6 years earlier while working at the Department of Emergency Service in Olympia, Washington. In 1982, Bone gave birth to a daughter named Rose and claimed Bundy as the father. Initially, there were doubts about Bundy's paternity since conjugal visits were not allowed in prison. However, it has been suggested by Ann Rule, a former co-worker of Bundy's and author of a book about him, that Bundy may have bribed prison guards to enable intimate encounters with Bone. Over time, Bone came to realize Bundy's guilt in his crime. According to Rule's book, Bone divorced Bundy in 1986 and moved to Washington with their daughter. Limited information is available about Rose, who is also known as Rosa, as Bond reportedly changed both their names to protect their privacy and keep them out of the public eye. Rule has deliberately refrained from seeking information about Bone and Rose, respecting their need of privacy. She has expressed her desire to avoid being caught off guard by inquiries from journalists regarding them. On the morning of January 24, 1989, Ted Bundy was executed at approximately 7 a.m. in the electric chair at Florida State Prison, commonly referred to as Old Sparky. The execution took place amidst a crowd of speculators outside the prison. Some members of the public cheered and even set a fire to mark the event. According to reports, Ted Bundy showed signs of remorse and shed tears on several occasions. On the night before his execution, he made 2 phone calls to his mother. For his final meal, Bundy requested steak, eggs, hash brown, and a toast. In his last moment, Bundy's last words were directed towards his lawyer, Jim Coleman, and the minister Fred Lawrence. He asked them to convey his love to his family and friends before his execution. After Ted Bundy's execution, scientists conducted a study on his brain to search for any physical abnormalities that could provide insight into his violent behavior. However, no such abnormalities were found. Bundy's body was cremated in Gainesville, Florida, without any public ceremony. Prior to his execution, he expressed a desire for his ashes to be scattered in the Cascade Mountains of Washington State, where he had committed the murders of several of his victims. Thank you.